Another wild game, and a game that almost started to eerily be reminiscent of what happened 2 nights ago. I mean, Yogi Berra somewhere was going, it's deja vu all over again, which is what I said, during the pregame show. It's deja vu. You get to play the Kings again. But oh my gosh, I didn't realize that the ending was almost going to be the exact same. And we're going to talk about it right now on the fifth quarter. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. Of course, you can also hit us up on the Rip City Radio text line. Just text 88528. And you also have the YouTube channel as well. We got plenty of ways for you to join the chat. And that game again, it was sloppy. It had its ups, it had its downs. It was just weird, just like the one on Thursday night. And if you remember the one on Thursday night, both in regulation and in overtime, Blazers with a chance to kind of put the game away, but a turnover on an inbounds play gives Sacramento life, and that's what happened again tonight. This time, though, Tamani Kamara was the guy inbounding the ball. And Coach Thiago Splitter on Thursday talked about how, we didn't have Tamani Kamara because he fouled out in that game. And so you had Chris Murray and you had City Sissoko, and they were in that spot inbounding the ball, not necessarily used to that. And, you got to get used to that. They turn the ball over. They're not in that situation very often. Well, tonight you had the guy who usually is Tamani Kamara, and you still turned the ball over, gave Sacramento life, but the Blazers were able to flex on them and hold on to this victory tonight. And they needed it in the worst way. It was a big-time victory, not only because, A, you need wins, but to get these wins over Sacramento, we said that they wanted to go 2-0 against Sacramento, and they did, despite the fact it was ugly. Final score in this one, a low-scoring 98-93. The Blazers did jump out to a 15-2 lead. Sacramento missed their first 9 shots, but then the Kings started to get right back into it the way that they wanted to, not how Portland wanted them to. In the second quarter, it was a weird quarter. Let's just put it that way. The Blazers outscored the Kings 19-18 in the second quarter. The Blazers were 6 of 19 from the floor in the quarter. Sacramento was 7 of 18, and that is the lowest scoring second quarter of the season for your Trailblazers. The previous one was 20 that they scored against the Lakers and Toronto. For the Kings, though, that 18-point quarter was also the lowest scoring quarter for a second quarter for an opponent against the Trailblazers this season. So it was just kind of ugly all the way around. And then in the third quarter, it was 25 even. And so in the fourth quarter, the Blazers tried to do their best. They outscored the Kings 26-24, but nothing about this game was fluid. This was kind of an old school basketball game. If you look at it, you're like, oh man, neither team scored 100. I feel like that doesn't happen in today's NBA, but it did in this game. A couple things to like is in this game tonight, they held Sacramento to 36 points in the paint. In that game on Thursday, Sacramento had 74 points in the paint alone, many of them from Maxime Renaud, who had 29 points in that game, which was a career high. He was held to 17 tonight. He did get 11 rebounds. In fact, let's take a look at the box score, looking at what Sacramento was able to do. Keegan Murray had 15 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 points from Precious Achua. I believe he had 2 in the Thursday game as well. So, he's averaging a solid 2 points per game against the Blazers. 17, as we said, from Maxime Renaud. 15 points for DeMar DeRozan. So Blazers able to keep him in check when he was absolutely on fire in that first game. Russell Westbrook, who had a 20-point, 10-assist double-double on Thursday night, had just 7 points, 7 assists, and 8 rebounds. I say just. He almost gets a triple-double, but a low-scoring one. 21 points to lead the Kings was Dennis Schroeder off the bench, and Nick Clifford had 12 as well. On the Blazers side of things, Tamani Kamara had 15 points, 6 boards, 2 assists. He was 5 of 14 from the field. 9 points for Chris Murray, who started in place of the injured Jeremy Grant. He was dealing with some left Achilles tightness, so they held him out precautionary. Don't know what his status will be moving forward. You want to make sure anytime they have that Achilles tightness, or calf tightness. You want to be very, very smart with how you proceed because you don't want the worst case scenario to happen. So Chris played 35 minutes tonight. Donovan Clingan, 14 points, 14 rebounds, 11 of them on the defensive side. He also had 2 block shots, so a good performance from the Blazers big man. And, of course, the Trailblazers PR team tweeted out that the 14-point, 14 rebound performance tonight against Sacramento marks the 7th double-double of the season for Donovan Clingan. That is tied for the second most double-doubles by a second-year player so far this season in the NBA. So a nice performance, which is one of those things that until they put it out in the ether there and you remember it, you kind of forget that Donovan Clingan is only in his second season. He looks seasoned at times. He looks like he's an adult out there because he is. But you get what I'm saying. He looks like a vet sometimes. You forget that he's still young in NBA terms. So good to see that he's out there getting the job done and performing well, because we talked about it in the pregame show that the rebounds were going to be crucial. They needed to be active on the glass tonight, and Donovan Clingan was definitely doing that as intended. Now, Denny Avdia, 24 points, 11 assists, 7 rebounds. Shaden Sharp had 23 points to go along with 4 points and 2 assists. Robert Williams had 10 points to lead the Blazers bench. We talked about it again in the pregame show. We wanted the rebound numbers to be up. Good thing Donovan Clingan was absolutely active on the glass because the Blazers got out-rebounded tonight by the Sacramento Kings, 50-46. That's not something that happens very often. The Sacramento Kings, one of the worst rebounding teams in the NBA. They also out-rebounded the Blazers on the offensive glass, 18-12, which is something we talked about in the pregame show, that you had to be extra aggressive defensively because the Blazers, as good as they are overall defensive numbers, their as good as they are overall rebounding-wise, their defensive rebounding numbers are not great, and we needed them to be a little more aggressive there to limit those second chance points. But again, Sacramento was able to get 18 offensive boards, which is not a good recipe for limiting those second chance points. In fact, Sacramento had 18 second chance points. Portland had just 15. Portland did lead the fast break category, 15-7. Bench points favored Sacramento 37-13. 18 turnovers to 20 turnovers. Portland with the 20 there. And then points off turnovers. Sacramento had 24 points off turnovers. Portland had just 9. So another big reason they were able to keep this one close. Biggest lead of the night for the Blazers was 13 when it was 15-2 early on in the game. Biggest lead for Sacramento was 1 when they led 75-74. But hey, the Blazers won. There was only 2 lead changes in this game. They were tied 4 times, and the Blazers took control and won the game. That's what you want to do. They led for 43 minutes and 33 seconds of the game. Not too bad. Not too bad. If you want to join the conversation with us, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. You can also hit us up at the text line 88528 or go to youtube.com. Type in Rip City Radio. Where Gamian Skillard says, boy, we love making mountains out of molehills with these Kings this year, don't we? That's absolutely right, Gamian Skillard. And once again, shout out to an awesome username. But you know what? As long as you don't let them light the beam, that's good. When Portland gets on the plane tonight and they fly back up north and they look out the window as they leave Sacramento Airport, they will not see a shining beacon pointing to where Golden One Center is. There will not be the yellow beam up in the air. And that, my friend, is a good thing. The dog catcher says the DC baseline drive around DeRozan for a slam dunk was a great thing to see in this game. Young man growing still. And you know what, dog catcher, you're absolutely right. Because one thing I've been critical about when it comes to Donovan Clingan is I just want him to be more aggressive at the rim offensively. Obviously, defensively, he's locked in. But the last few games, he's had a couple moves that were impressive. He had one in that last game against Sacramento, back to the basket where he put the ball on the ground, did the spin move around him, and then went glass for the little lay in there. And those are the types of things I want to see him do more of. I want to see him do more of that. Now, we'll see what happens on Monday when Detroit comes to town, because the Blazers will be celebrating the 99-2000 team that, went to the Western Conference Finals. And hopefully when they show all the highlights, they do not show the highlights of Kobe Bryant throwing a lob to Shaq, because that's still painful. But, you're celebrating those late 90s teams. Maybe Sabas can come in and teach a guy a thing or two about playing around the rim, because, boy, howdy, he needs to learn. And he's shown a few things here and there, which has been absolutely incredible. And hopefully he can build on that. At the end of the day, he's a defensive guy. That's where he's going to make his bread and butter. That's where he is going to excel the most and impact this team the most. So you understand that there's going to be nights where he doesn't light up the scoreboard, but I just want to get him to a point where he is efficient and you can trust him to go get those points down in the paint. You know that he's not going to be a situation where it's going to be easy turnovers or just terrible calls, terrible plays, lack of concentration, that type of thing. Speaking of lack of concentration, I'll tell you one team that did not lack concentration today. That's right, my friends. My Oregon Ducks are advancing to the next round of the college football playoffs after a 51-34 wire-to-wire victory over James Madison. I know you got a couple Duck fans on the social medias a little upset that JMU scored 34 points. They scored 2 touchdowns in each of the third and fourth quarters. But you know what? The Ducks handled their business, took care of it. Second half, mainly that fourth quarter, a lot of the second unit defensively. So I'm not too upset. I just wanted a victory, and the Ducks got it. So now they get to go play Texas Tech in round 2, heading to the Orange Bowl. So shout out Dante Moore, 19 of 27, 313 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. He did throw 2 picks. One of them was a weird one, though. No pass interference, which I get, but a wide receiver just ran into the cornerback, lost his footing, led to an easy catch for the defender. But, man, good to see the Ducks taking care of business. Good to see the Blazers taking care of business. I mean, sports fans in the Pacific Northwest over the last few days. Seahawks get the big Thursday night win on Thursday Night Football over the Rams. Now they are kind of in the driver's seat and control their destination when it comes to getting the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. The Blazers beat the Kings that night, and then you get more football Blazer action tonight, and both the teams take care of business. So you know what? It's a good last 3 days of Pacific Northwest sports. Shout out to everybody who's been enjoying it. This is the fifth quarter. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. Once again, if you want to join in, that phone number is 503-248-0620. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hit you with our drive of the night, shot of the night. Still got Coach's Corner to get to, and we'll hand out a game ball before it's all said and done. All right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.
Slide to Sharp. Ball fake. Goes up to the rim. Hammers it down with the right hand. With a fraction on the shot clock as Shaedon Sharp packs it in. 94-89.
A dunk so nice, I just got to play it again.
Slide to Sharp. Ball fake. Goes up to the rim. Hammers it down with the right hand. With a fraction on the shot clock as Shaedon Sharp packs it in. 94-89.
And the only bad part about the radio call is that you don't get to see it, because the replay was played over and over on the broadcast and in the post-game show, and Shaedon Sharp gets, like, he looked like Superman. He was like perpendicular, laying to the floor. He was flying. And I think they showed a stat up there that he leads the league in dunks with a vert of 40 inches or higher on the dunk. Pretty incredible. That one was just another one for the highlight reel. Welcome back into the fifth quarter. Chris Burkhardt here with you. If you'd like to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. You can hit us up on the text line at 88528. And you can also go to youtube.com, type in Riff City Radio, and join the chat there as well, where the dog catcher calls him Sharper Man. I get it. Superman, Shaedon Sharp, the mix. I like it. Air Weldon says, I saw a man fly. Yes, we all did. We all saw a man fly on tonight. It was incredible. It's interesting. I was watching the replay, and it's funny because it almost looked like the replay was fake. Like it was in Photoshop and someone was like taking the object and moving it, or in Premiere. And it's like, no, that was just him just moving in slow-mo. That's how freakishly athletic that was. And that was pretty cool to see. It was pretty cool to see. Also, Air Weldon says, nice hat. That's right. It's the gingerbread baseball hat from Baseballism, which is a great company. They make great stuff. It's supposed to smell like gingerbread too, but it doesn't. It smells like the meat shop now because I wore it at the meat market today. But you know what? You gotta celebrate the holiday season, a little Christmas with a gingerbread baseball bat, man. So shout out to Baseballism. All right, so we talked about this game, right, being important, how we needed them to win both of these, because it's the difference between, sticking yourself kind of firmly back into the play-in conversation, or more realistically having Sacramento just, 2.5 games behind you, and you're out of the play-in. So you really need to get in there, win these games, and the Blazers did. So that's important. It's also important that they got a little bit of, like, momentum going at the moment, because the Blazers absolutely had been struggling. They had been struggling. And yes, they had won games. Yes, we've seen them do things this season that we really like. But Travis brought it up on the broadcast, and it's something that you don't really think about. But this is the first time the Blazers have won 3 games in a row since the end of October. Those 3 games were at Los Angeles, at Utah, and then home against Denver. That was at that point, with those 3 wins, the team was 4-2 on the early season. Since that point, since they won those 3 in a row, they had not won back-to-back games. They went loss, loss, win, loss, 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 win, loss, win, loss, 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 win, loss, loss, loss. And now they just went win, 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 which is good. But that is a span of the entire month of November and the first half of December without just back-to-back wins. We're not talking about winning streaks. We're talking about just winning 2 games in a row. So going out and winning 3, even as ugly as the last 2 has been, is important. Because now they get to come back home. Their next 5 games are at home, which is absolutely wonderful, because, once again, November was crazy. So the month of November, they played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They played 6 home games the entire month of November. So getting a stretch right now where they just get 5 home games in a row, a thing of beauty. They got Detroit, Orlando, the Clippers, Boston, and Dallas on this 5-game stand. And you look at the standings right now, Boston and Detroit, they are 3 of the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference. Boston at 17-11 is number 3. Detroit at 22-6. The second best record in the NBA is number 1. We saw the Blazers play them on the road just a few weeks ago, and I actually thought the Blazers played decently well in that game. They kind of let a game they could have stole slip away. So hopefully home cooking helps them out a little bit. I do think they match up decently with that Detroit team. Boston, you got to give them some credit, getting out there, being 3rd in the East with obviously trading Drew Holiday, getting Anthony Simons acclimated, and no Jason Tatum. That's no small feat. So kudos to them. Joe Mazzulla doing a good job. But the rest of that, those 5 games that we talked about, they got Orlando, the Clippers, and Dallas. Well, the Clippers right now 7-21, third worst team in the Western Conference. Dallas trying to get into this play, and Cooper Flagg's starting to play pretty well. They're 11-18. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They've lost one, but they're still right there behind the Blazers. And then, of course, we talked about that Orlando Magic team. They're sixth in the East right now at 16-12, and they would be 15-13 if not for a Desmond Bane last-second three-pointer that doomed the Blazers last month in Orlando. So you'd hope maybe the Blazers get a little bit of redemption there as well. But the schedule does get easier, something we've talked about plenty. They still got to take on Oklahoma City again on the road, but then you start getting more games against Utah, and you have Sacramento again, which is good. You still have Washington, Brooklyn, Indiana, these bad teams out east. So hopefully you get some reinforcements as well, get a little healthier, but the schedule is going to play out well. It's just going to be nice to be home. It's going to be nice to be home for 5 straight games, get a little bit of that home cooking, and, find your rhythm, because I think the Blazers, that's what they've been lacking, is finding that rhythm. But with so much traveling, hotel time, airport time, and yes, I know their athletes are used to it, but man, sometimes you just want to lay your head on your own pillow and find a rhythm. All right, let's take a look real quick around the NBA, see what some other scores have given us every game final. The Rockets grabbed a 115-101 victory over the Nuggets. Reed Shepherd had 28 points. Nikola Jokic had 25 points and 7 rebounds. The Mavericks lost to the 76ers, 121-114. Tyrese Maxey leading the way with 38 points, a 24-point, 15-rebound double-double for Anthony Davis. The Celtics got a impressive victory over the also surprisingly good Toronto Raptors. Peyton Pritchard, 33 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists for West Lynn's finest. Brandon Ingram had 24 points and 7 assists for the Raptors. The Pelicans, in a battle of 2 6-win teams, they grabbed the victory to improve to 7-22 over the Pacers, 128-109. Zion Williamson had 29 points and 7 rebounds. TJ McConnell 16 points, 8 assists for the Pacers. The Pistons grab a dominating 112-86 victory over Charlotte. Cade Cunningham had 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists for the Pistons. The Wizards dethroned the Grizzlies. That's a big win for Washington. They improved to 5-21. George had 28, 7 and 7. Aldama had 37 and 10 for Memphis. The Warriors 119-116 over the Suns. Steph Curry 28, 10 and 6. Orlando 128-127 overtime victory over the Jazz, and Desmond Bane hit another game winner. This time it was a floater off the glass. It wasn't the three-pointer like it was against the Blazers. He had 32 and 6 rebounds, as well as that game winner. The Clippers beat the Lakers 103-88. Kawhi Leonard had 32, 12, and 3 steals. LeBron James put in 36 points. And then final score in Sacramento, Trailblazers 98, the Kings 93. I was trying to look. Only 2 other teams scored fewer than 100 points tonight. That was the Raptors, who lost, and the Hornets, who lost 86 points. Okay, it's the Clippers, and then Lakers. Lakers scored 88. Telling me the Kings might have beat them today? That'd be kind of crazy. All right, this is the 5th quarter. Once again, you want to join the conversation? 503-248-0620. I'll say it again slower. 503-248-0620. Call now. Enter the conversation. You can also go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, where everyone's got some chat in there, so I got to do some catching up. But Ryan says, I watched the end of the game after the Ducks game on the Sacramento feed. I'm so glad we don't have a woman doing the broadcast here. Man, she's great. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? There are plenty of women, man, who would do wonderfully in that broadcast role. You just got to know your hoops. That's all I care about. I don't care anything else. Just know your hoops. And she does. She's done a good job. She's worked her tail off over there in Sacramento, and she deserves that credit. Absolutely, she does. So I'm not gonna get on board with that one. I'm not gonna get on board with that one. Not at all. No, I just can't. I'm sorry. Also, why does that matter? It shouldn't matter. Like Jamie Hudson, friend of the show, she'd absolutely kill it. She'd absolutely kill it if she was on a broadcast like that. Absolutely kill it. So the thing is, not a lot of people like the broadcasts and aren't theirs. That's a thing, and that's real. You got to admit to that one. You got to admit to that one. If it ain't your broadcast, you don't like it. People aren't about that. That's just one of those things. But yeah, Katie Christensen, she's been doing it for a while, man. She's been in the media for 20 years, with the Kings for 17. Worked with her a few times, like not on a personal level back when I was with NBC because we worked really close with the other NBC affiliates. So you got NBC Sports Bay that had um, the Sacramento Kings and the Warriors, obviously. Some of them are defunct now, but you had NBC Sports Houston for a minute, NBC Sports Chicago, NBC Sports Philly, NBC Sports Washington. But yeah, Katie Christensen, she does wonderful. She does wonderful down there. So it's one of those broadcast things. There's so many people. Like the weird part about broadcasting, Ryan, is that like unless it's your guys, you don't like them because it's like how many people like there were people who didn't like KC. Like when Kevin Calabro got the job, there was people who were mad. And we're talking about the GOAT, like one of the greatest of all time behind the mic. But you're so used to what you like that when you mix it up, you don't like it. You don't like it. And now it's like, yeah, don't take my KC. Don't take my KC. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like broadcasters, what's cool about sports broadcasters like that, like Kevin Calabro and Lamar, and then, Mark and those guys down there in Sacramento is like, you feed off that fan base in such a unique way. That's why if you ever listen into different broadcasts, sometimes a lot of fans don't like it when they listen to the other broadcasts. Oh, they were just homers for their team. Yeah, no, duh. That's kind of their job. They feed off of it. KC and Lamar like feed on the Rip City, right? So Ryan, to your point, you were forced to listen in. That's your point. You were missing your KC and Lamar. You were wanting your Brooke and crew. That's what it was. That's what it was. Also, how about those Ducks? What a victory, right? Very nice to see. Oh my gosh, do I know the dog catcher? Do you know my cousin Ryan Bailey from NBC in Laredo, Texas? That is a good question. The answer is no. So it's one of those things like when I was with NBC, I only worked like exclusively with the NBC sports people. Didn't see a ton of those other affiliates unless we were on the road or then when they came to play the Portland. We worked the closest with the people down in NBC Sports Bay Area because of the proximity to Sacramento and seeing them so many times, and then the multiple playoff celebrations with connections, if you will, with Golden State. So we saw them, and Ryan chimes back, and he's like, "You're right. Yeah, when you're forced to listen to it and you just miss your people, every broadcast is terrible. Like that's just a fact. That's just a fact. You want your people." Also, shout out to one of our texters says, "Happy holidays, CB. Love the hat." And there's a story on the pinwheel artwork behind you. Did Chad do that? And is there a story? No, it was a local artist who did it, and Chad knows the answer to that. So let me get the information. We've had it in the studio for a few years now, but it was off behind the camera, and so now it's right here. And yeah, it's a beautiful piece of artwork. But I want to get the info on that for you because people are going to ask if it's in the background now. And yeah, go support some local artists if you can because it is pretty cool. Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick little break here on the fifth quarter. When we come back, it's going to be time for the Coach's Corner. We're going to hear from head coach Tiago Splitter. We're also going to hand out a game ball and such. But before we do, it's time for our shot of the night.
Slides into Sharp. Ball fake. Goes up to the rim. Hammers it down with the right hand. With a fraction on the shot clock as Shaedon Sharp packs it in. 94-89.
Welcome back into the fifth quarter. Chris Burkhardt here with you, breaking down this Trailblazers victory and talking a little basketball here as the Blazers grab a much-needed 98-93 victory over the Sacramento Kings. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is one way to do it. You can also hit us up on the text line, 88528, or go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and join the conversation there. We were talking to Ryan a little bit. He was talking about not liking the Kings broadcast, and we were talking about Katie Christensen, who does a great job for the Kings. Been there covering that team for 17 years, which is awesome. She's born in Lakeview. Did not go to Lakeview High School, so she wasn't a honker, which is awesome. An awesome mascot, by the way. But Oregon Ties, baby. Oregon Ties. I like that. Oh, and you don't like Doris Burke either. I mean, Doris Burke is she's a legend too. She's a legend. It is funny when you, like I said, when you listen to broadcasters, the ones you like and the ones you don't like. Like I listen to a lot, and there's people, I don't like this. I like all of them, but I'm also in the biz, so I listen to them with a different ear. Not to say that the ear that anyone else listens to it with is wrong. Like I just listen to the broadcasters for like their cadences and how they do things, and I always find it funny that when you listen to a national guy and people are like, oh, he's a homer to this team or he's a homer to that team. And I just like, what are you talking about? It's they do good. If you think everyone's a homer, then they're doing a good job if they're the national guy, because that means they're doing a quick little fitty and everyone likes it. Jason says, can you please update this website for the radio in Medford, Oregon? What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't know exactly what you mean there, but I'll do whatever you need to do. I'm here to help. I'm here. Man of the people. I want man of the people. I want Portland Trailblazers on Seattle, Washington radio stations so I can listen to the game on radio in Seattle. Hey, what's the geographic location? Try it on the iHeartRadio music app. See what you can get. Ann Schatz was on Coin Forever. That Ann Schatz is that's a Portland legend. A legend. Portland legend, man. What a pull. What a pull. One of our texters says Donovan was aggressive again. Great move to the basket. Denny solid as usual. An unhuman like dunk by Sharp. Overall team effort was great. Mr. Big Daddy Rob was solid. Rob was great. Klingon was great. Klingon had a highlight package tonight, which is always good.
Here's the pass into the corner for Klingon with under a minute to play. Blazers lead by 5. Klingon to the rim, dunks it in the face of DeRozan.
See what I'm talking about? Wonderful. And the funny part about, Doris Burke talk and just national guys talk, it is interesting. Like I said, it's like, I think people get so used to the people that they like. And again, I'm not saying right or wrong, because everyone likes who they like. Some of the announcers I like are ones that people hate on all the time. But you get so used to liking what you like that when you change it up, people hate it. You know how much hate I got, and I still get occasionally because I'm not Chad Doing, because all people love Chad doing this show. It's always hard when you, like I said, I'm just so used to Chad, and you're not doing it. I'm trying my best, friends. Broadcasting's a hard gig. I do wish there was more options though. Like there needs to be more ways to tune TVs into the radio feeds for the people who just love their radio announcers. I like the NBA League Pass. You can choose what team you want to listen around to the different voices. It's a hard gig. I've done play-by-play before. Maybe you've heard it here on Rip City Radio before, back with the great Preston Highfield. I did color commentary for football and some basketball games for the OSAA. And let me tell you what, that's hard. It's absolutely hard. You ever see like Chad's like show sheets, or not Chad's, excuse me, Travis's sheets? Like the notes that he takes, the endless amount of prep that goes into those things. Man, it's absolutely a crazy job. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Another text here. Remember Ed Whalen and the Burnt Biscuit Awards? Yes, the Burnt Biscuits were awesome. I mean, who doesn't remember the Burnt Biscuits? That is great. That is great. Oh my gosh, some of the names have come through here. Also, it's always fun to see like Colin Coward, who's another one when we talk about sports talking heads who some people don't like, some people love. Like it's just one of those voices. But man, it's always cool to see him doing big things and understand that, yeah, he was down there KGW for a while, and it's just, I love it. It's fun when you get those old eyes. But man, the Burnt Biscuit Award, that is That is good. That is a good. Oh man, that just like throws me back to being a kid, even though that's maybe even a little pre me, but that's just that's just good. The burnt biscuits. We need to bring something cool back like that. Like what can we do on the fifth quarter and Blazers game day? Something akin to the burnt biscuits that we can start doing, handing out the bad play awards. It's kind of like Shaqtin' a Fool, you know what I mean? Be kind of funny. All right, Brendan, it is time, my friend, to hear what Coach Tiago Splitter had to say. It is time to head to the coach's corner. All right, let's head back to Sacramento, hear what Coach Tiago Splitter had to say after this 98-93 victory for your Portland Trailblazers.
I think overall our defense was, I think we stepped up tonight. Guys, were more active. I think Rob and DC did a great job at the rim. They kept shooting those mid-range and making them, but it's not the most efficient shot in the game. And I think still, we kind of like protect that rim and got the W.
We talked pregame about DC, a little feistiness last game. Did you see that tonight in him as well?
Yeah, I mean, he was huge, even with that offense rebound at the end and putting the ball back in. So DC is always, he brings the energy defensively. It's hard to attack our paint when he's there and he's active.
In the third quarter, right after halftime, it felt like Shaden just came out on another level, being extra aggressive. What was the message at half?
Well, that, whoever started that game, that third quarter better, we win the game. I think both teams were kind of like trying to find a way to play a good game. And I think at that third quarter, we kind of like started better and carry the rest of the game where we managed those advantage that we had during the game.
You mentioned you like what you saw defensively. Was that just a lot of communication with the guys or just guys being in the right spots?
Yeah, just being active, being our gaps. We talk about being, our hawks and ready to help each other. If one guy got driven, next one is up. DC's on the rim. So the energy was there, and we played together.
I have to ask you about Shaden's dunk, which was, as I mentioned, the exclamation point of the game. What did you think?
It was amazing. I think I've never seen a dunk like that in a clutch time. Almost jumping over a guy. But, Shaden is like that. He can score, can shoot, can play at the rim, above the rim. Another great offensive game by him.
And it was apropos that was a pass from Denny. Just the Denny and Shaden connection. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, I mean, Denny got 10 assists again, managing the whole game, played 40 minutes. Wasn't great shooting the ball. They collapsed a lot of the paint as well. So, but he found teammates, and Shea was one of them, and that dunk was one of them.
So third straight win. What are some things you're seeing in your guys that you're liking, you would like to see continue when we head home?
Just happy that they stepped up.
All right, I guess we'll stop listening from Tiago Splitter. When you hear your computer fire up like a jet engine and the audio stops playing, maybe that's not a good thing. But Brendan, we heard from Coach. We all got to hand out a game ball. It's time. I think this one, I'm just going to give it straight to the guy who did this.
Slide to Sharp. Ball fake. Goes up to the rim. Hammers it down with the right hand. With a fraction on the shot clock as Shaden Sharp pats it in. 94-89.
That's right. We're going to give it to Shaden Sharp. That dunk was absolutely incredible. If you can see the highlight, go to the Trailblazer social. I'm pretty sure it will be there in a little bit. I was also talking about, what we could do as our version of the burnt biscuit. And one of our texters chimed in, Chad's Crispy Crunch Time Awards. I like that. The Crispy Crunch Time Awards, only if it's presented by Captain Crunch. That would be phenomenal. And I love bringing up the burnt biscuits and Ed Whalen because it's just one of those things as a kid, like I never forget. But like I just, and again, if you're an Oregon kid and you grew up listening to Portland newscasters and all that, like you always just remember, hello everybody, nice seeing you again. I just every single time, and finding your little catchphrase is fun. That's why I end courtside with "Rip City, I love you," because I do. I love Rip City, but hello everybody, nice seeing you again. This echoes through your ears and your memory here in Oregon sports media. Pretty darn awesome. But I'm gonna run Chad's Crispy Crunch Time Awards by him. Say we need a little more creativity in our segments. The burnt biscuits though. The whole didn't see that coming, didn't have it on my bingo card. Shout out to our texter there, because I did not believe I'd have a burnt biscuit reference on the fifth quarter today. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. I would say you have made my day, but what really made my day was that Duck victory. It was beautiful. Advancing to the next round, taking on Texas Tech in the playoff. Ooh, boy. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Dogcatcher said, when at PSU, I'd see Ed Whalen time and time again at the Safeway on the 405. Oh, my gosh. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I think it's so funny because, like, in all my years of, like, doing this and covering the team, like, I've never ran into any of the famous Portlanders, like, out in public. The closest I think I ever got to it was as a kid. One of my dad's best friends growing up, and they still keep in touch despite the fact he no longer lives in the state, but was Dave Selesky's brother. So I remember one time he was in town for Christmas, and so we dropped him off at Dave's house. Didn't go in or anything; was just on the outside. And I was like, "Oh man, I'm at the weatherman's house." And I was a young kid; I had to be like 10 years old, but it's like I just kind of thought it was like, "Oh man, Dave Selesky's house! How cool is that?" Just kind of funny. Of course, I think I ran into. Well, I didn't run into. I was on the news at one time because we did. Remember when KPTV had Big Dog Tuesday? Big Dog Tuesday. Go down there with your dogs and celebrate. So we got to see Tony Martinez and the crew. That was kind of fun. That was kind of fun. Also, I think we've talked about it before on the show, but Rambling Rod, like we all remember Rambling Rod. I was on Rambling Rod at one point. I handed him a pin. I don't know if he ever put it on, but I handed it to him. Telling you, man, the fame and the names that run around this town. So there's some good ones. There's absolutely some good ones. All right, we were gonna end the show, but we're not going to. We're gonna head out to the caller because our friend Uncle Blazer just called in. Uncle Blazer, you're on. What's up?
How you doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing great. How are you?
I'm really good. So, follow up a little bit on our last conversation. Just an area of things I'm thinking about a lot for myself. So I just looking back on who the hell is Chris Burkhardt anyway? So I went and found a podcast that you were on with We Have a Take with Tara Brown Biggs and Rose Harding. That's a kind of nice little. That's back in March where they were asking about you stuff. So I was kind of reading. Oh, that's pretty cool. So I have a couple quick questions for you. One, where did you go to middle school and high school in Portland?
Okay.
Two, what was the real hook to want to get into basketball broadcasting? And just a side note on me is like 5'0". Boy, I relate to that. I was like 4'0" forever, and my growth spurt was maybe 5'5", and that didn't happen until like my freshman year in college. But I loved sports. I played baseball, basketball, football, ice hockey, ballet, and I did all that stuff growing up. Because I don't know about you, I'm a little bit older than you, but our day, like, you did everything. There was no concentration in one sport until you got to at least like maybe high school or even college. So I was lucky enough to have good mentors and had some interesting experiences that took me much further than I ever thought I'd ever go. So I finally said, well, wait a minute, at 5 foot something and nothing, this is as far as I can go. But anyway, so that's just, I was relating to some of the stuff you were talking about. So my questions are, where'd you go to middle school in Portland? Where'd you go to high school? And then what was your hook that took you into wanting to be involved with basketball?
All right. Well, Uncle Blazer, thanks for the call. Let's answer these for you. All right. So I went to Centennial Middle School and Centennial High School out in Gresham or in Portland, depending where you want to say it is, because it's literally right on the border. Go Eagles. Go Eagles. I was a baseball player. Love baseball. That is my passion sport. That is my favorite sport. It was a sport I just love to play. Ken Griffey Jr. is my favorite athlete of all time. I played football till I dislocated my shoulder and decided it was, I had to just hang it up because the shoulder was just beat up. When you're, 15 years old and the doctor tells you you're going to need shoulder surgery, you're like, yeah, I don't want to do that. So we didn't get surgery. We just quit football, even though I loved football. And I played basketball in middle school, just in the leagues. I never played it. Like you said, 5'0". But the thing is, I don't know if I found basketball, but basketball found me. So I knew from a young age, Uncle Blazer, that I wanted to be a talking head. I wanted to be in sports broadcasting. While everyone else wanted to be pro athletes, I was, as much as I loved Ken Griffey and all that, I was idolizing, Stuart Scott's and the Neil Everett's and all those guys. Sports Center. I would watch Sports Center on repeat. My mom was like, this is just the exact same thing that aired an hour ago, Chris, and you already watched it. I'm like, I know. I would just watch the broadcasters because I wanted to be like them. And then I went to the University of Oregon and majored in journalism. I was struggling to get in the business, quite frankly, because it's a hard business to get into. And I finally got a chance to work with NBC, was hired part-time. And at that point, I was just editing clips from their outdoor GPS show, which is now on KPTV. Wonderful show. Owen Hayes and the crew. And I was just sitting there and was doing that, and then was a part-time Trailblazer producer. So I would go to half the games. This was in 2014, doing just the social media and covering the team. And then that's how I started with really covering the NBA. And then from then on, got promoted, got full-time, and then I was hooked. I was always a Blazer fan. I grew up loving them. Rasheed Wallace is my favorite Blazer of all time. And yeah, watched all those games growing up. I was hooked to the TV. But no, the NBA kind of found me. And it's funny because my wife laughs now because football was probably the sport I was best at. Baseball is the sport that I love the most. But I wouldn't want to work in the NFL or Major League Baseball because of how much I love covering the NBA. And covering the Blazers has been fun. And so, yeah, that's how I found the Blazers. And that's the quick story on who is Chris Burkhardt. Just a local Portland kid who is living the dream because he's covering the Portland Trailblazers, a team he grew up loving and rooting for. And now we're here. So, yeah, there you go. That is the skinny of it, my friend. That is the skinny of it.
That is a great story, Chris. So I have one quick follow-up question. So baseball is my first love, too. And my question for you, and then I'll close with two short comments after you answer the question. Next question. So what was your position in baseball?
Well, I loved Ken Griffey Jr., and I was a center fielder because I loved Ken Griffey Jr. I roamed the outfield, my friend.
Righty or lefty?
I'm a righty.
Better fielder or hitter?
Oh, gosh. Better fielder, and it's not even close.
Well, that was my claim to fame, too. I was born lefty, and my brothers were old baseball fans. There were no left-handed gloves in the house, so they switched me to righty. So I became a switch hitter. And in terms of, things that kind of your local boy and things that take you places you never knew you'd go, I was working for Cubs. That's a whole other story. When I was growing up outside of Chicago, for the Spurs of 67, 68, and 69. And 69 was, unfortunately, the year of the Miracle Mets. Was probably one of the best years of my life, best summers of my life, and worst falls. So during that time, I worked in the sessions office, but I would go sneak out on the field and sag flies and stuff because I wanted to play college baseball because I was on my high school team, and I was pretty good. So I was second baseman, so I was more of a fielder. But so I dove and made a catch one day, and this guy came over, a Cub fan, one of my heroes, Glenn Beckert, second baseman. And he said, "Nice catch, kid. So will you play?" He took me under his wing and taught me a whole mess of stuff, and I ended up trying out. I played varsity ball my freshman year of college, and it was all to him. And then later on, I saw him years and years later when I came back to watch a game, and it was like his last year for the Cubs. And I said, "Hey, Glenn, how's it going?" I'm almost done here. Anyway, so he said, I told him that I wanted to play. And he says, "You're not good enough to play the bigs, but you're great attitude. So you need to find something because you're really personal guy. So you need to find something that fits for you." So that's the last thing from my story. So it's like for you, it was like you get into these situations, you don't know where they take you. And then, so I'm just really happy where it's taken you, going back to talking about announcers. I think I said this the other day, but it's like, tonight before the game, you were on such a roll. That was so great, the role that you took to enter in the game when you're talking. So that's what I wanted to say tonight.
Well, Uncle Blazer, I appreciate it. I appreciate it as always, man. You're right. You just never know where you're going to go. Like Moana says about the island heritage, we were voyagers. That's right. So I just go where the wind takes me, wherever it pushes the sail. Wherever it pushes the sail is where you go. Dogcatcher says, did you touch on Blazers? Maurice Lucas and Brandon Roy Hall of Fame status. Maybe it's old news, but I saw a graphic on the game tonight. They are candidates for induction. We'll see where that goes. Maurice Lucas is an absolute legend. Brandon Roy's run was short, but you got to remember the Basketball Hall of Fame doesn't just account to the NBA. It accounts for everything. And Brandon Roy, keep in mind, he was great in college, great in the NBA, and then he went and was coaching up in Washington and won a couple state titles. So he knows what he's talking about. Also, one of our texters says Uncle Blazer is like sounds like Mitch, but without the accent. Remember Mitch? Hey, Chad, thanks for taking my call. Like that's my best Mitch. Thanks for taking my call. I'm Caleb Williams. He had a good game last night. He threw that game-winning touchdown against the Packers, and when he was at USC, he was like a Heisman contender. Mitch in Jersey's awesome. Also, we're getting people laughing about the Burkhardt origin story. That is funny. It is funny. Just one more point to that before we go, because everyone talks about, do you get starstruck when you interview athletes? That's probably the question I've been asked the most. And the answers to that is no. I get more stressed out because it's work. But I'll never forget the very first time I went into the Blazers practice facility. It was my first day on the job. It was February 14th, 2014. I'm just sitting at the studio and my boss goes, "Hey, you want to interview some Blazers today?" I'm like, "Sure." And he goes, "All right, practice starts in an hour. I need you to get up to Tualatin." "All right. I don't even know where it's at." He's like, "Don't worry. Well, I'll get you there. Just get your camera and everything and go. Get your camera and go." So, okay. So I get my equipment. I go up to the practice facility, and we are interviewing the Blazers. There's Wes Matthews, LaMarcus Aldridge, and I was not starstruck by them. But I was nervous as hell because I'm holding the NBC mic, that time CSN and W. I'm holding it out, and I look at my hand, and I realize that next to my hand, there's the KGW mic flag and K2, and there was an ESPN mic flag because ESPN was there. And I'm like, those are the people that I am aspiring to be. I want to be those guys one day. And that made me more nervous than talking to LaMarcus Aldridge that day. And then I also remember Chad at the time. We weren't working together. He would go to the games, and I knew who Chad was. That's Chad doing. But I was too nervous to talk to him. He probably doesn't know that. If he's listening right now, he's learning that I never really introduced myself because I was too nervous to go talk to Chad Doing. Because, like, dude, that's a radio guy here in Portland, does these Blazers shows. Like, I want to do that one day. Oh, I need to meet him. And then I would clam up. And then you flash forward 10 years, and I am now filling the role he used to have on the Fifth Quarter, and he's my boss, and he talks to me probably more than I talk to my wife sometimes with how busy we get. It's kind of funny how it works, Uncle Blazer. Like you said, where the wind goes. All right, that's gonna do it for the Fifth Quarter tonight. Once again, the Blazers go and get a much-needed victory, 98-93 over the Sacramento Kings. They will be back in action on Monday. Tip-off at 7 o'clock against the Detroit Pistons, which means I will have Blazers game day for you starting at 5. And also, shout out to Uncle Blazer. Love the questioning, and I love that we can go off the rails and have fun, and the listeners enjoy it. Everyone's commenting about it, which is great. And, yeah, that's the Burkhardt origin story. Just remember this at the end of the day. Love me or hate me, I love Rip City Radio and doing this job, and I love Rip City as a whole. I grew up a Blazer fan, so what I get to do every day, it's not lost on me how fortunate I am. And hopefully that passion comes across on the mic, and you guys enjoy it. You guys enjoy it. And like I said, We'll be back at it 5 o'clock on Monday with Blazers Game Day. But I told Brendan specifically, don't play the outro song because I have something special today. Because down in Eugene, my beloved Oregon Ducks took care of business, and they beat JMU 51-34. They advanced to the next round of the college football playoff. They will play Texas Tech on New Year's Day. And as a former member of the University of Oregon marching band, there is only one way to end this show. I'll talk to you guys on Monday.